What if I told you there was once a city so powerful, so advanced, that people believed no force on earth could ever bring it down? A city built on ambition, pride, and the belief that its walls could defy both time and heaven itself. That city was Babylon, the jewel of the ancient world, a place of breathtaking beauty and terrifying arrogance. Towering ziggurats reached toward the heavens, golden temples reflected the sun like fire, and the hanging gardens, one of the 7 wonders of the world, seemed to mock nature itself. But beneath all its splendor was something darker. Babylon wasn't just a city, it was a declaration. A statement that humanity could rise high enough to challenge the divine. The Bible called her the mistress of kingdoms, the seat of world power, the empire that ruled over nations and kings. And yet, even at the height of her glory, her downfall had already been written. Not by men, not by fortune-tellers or omens, but by prophecy, centuries before her fall ever came to pass. But was that prophecy real? Or just another ancient tale passed down through time? Because modern archaeology has begun to uncover something extraordinary, evidence that the story of Babylon might be far more accurate and far more haunting than anyone ever imagined. Long before Babylon became a world power, it was just a small settlement on the banks of the Euphrates River. But its location was perfect: fertile lands, easy trade routes, and resources that made it destined for greatness. Over time, it rose from a cluster of villages into a kingdom that ruled the ancient Near East. And by the time of King Nebuchadnezzar II, Babylon had become the greatest empire the world had ever seen. Its double walls stretched for miles, wide enough for chariots to ride across. Its palaces glittered with gold, its temples honored gods like Marduk and Ishtar, and its culture dominated the ancient world. To the nations around it, Babylon was unstoppable. To the prophets of the Bible, it was a symbol of arrogance, humanity's attempt to dethrone God himself. And while the world called her eternal, prophecy whispered something different, that her throne would crumble and her name would become a warning to every empire that followed. But for centuries, historians doubted the Bible's account. One of the biggest controversies surrounded a man named Belshazzar. The book of Daniel called him Babylon's king on the night the city fell, but for hundreds of years, historians claimed there was no such ruler. His name was nowhere in ancient records. Then, in the ruins of Mesopotamia, archaeologists uncovered a series of clay cylinders inscribed with cuneiform writing. One cylinder bore a prayer from King Nabonidus for his eldest son, Belshazzar, the very name written in the Bible. Later discoveries confirmed it. Belshazzar had ruled Babylon as regent in his father's absence. He wasn't just real, he was king in all but title. For decades, skeptics said the Bible had gotten history wrong, but the sands of time said otherwise. As archaeologist Nelson Gluck once put it, "I have excavated for 30 years with a Bible in one hand and a trowel in the other, and in matters of historical perspective, I have never found the Bible to be in error." And the discoveries didn't stop there. Archaeologists found tablets describing Babylon's obsession with astrology and omens. They even uncovered clay models of animal livers used for divination. The Babylonians believed the gods spoke through stars, smoke, and sacrifice, interpreting the patterns on a liver to decide everything from war to politics. But for all their efforts to read the future, they missed the one truth already written, the prophecy that their empire would be destroyed. 200 years before Babylon's fall, the prophet Isaiah wrote that Babylon, the glory of kingdoms, would become as when God overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah. A city so mighty would become uninhabited forever. It seemed impossible. Yet just as God foretold, Babylon fell. In 539 BC, the seemingly invincible empire was conquered in a single night. The Persian king Cyrus diverted the flow of the Euphrates River, the lifeline that ran through Babylon's walls. With the water level dropped, his soldiers entered the city through the dry riverbed. The gates, carelessly left unlocked, offered no resistance. By morning, Babylon had fallen. Greek historians like Herodotus and Xenophon later confirmed the details, describing how the Persians walked in under the cover of night while the Babylonians feasted inside. Every word matched the prophecy written centuries earlier. The fall of Babylon wasn't just history, it was fulfillment. But Babylon's story didn't end in ruins. Centuries later, in the final book of the Bible, the name Babylon returned, not as a physical city, but as a symbol. The book of Revelation described a great harlot called Babylon the Great, dressed in scarlet and gold, ruling over kings and nations. It was a new kind of empire, spiritual, global, and powerful. Just like the ancient city, this symbolic Babylon represented false religion, corruption, and the blending of truth with deception. Ancient Babylon had over 50 temples to different gods and taught that the soul lived on after death, descending into a shadowy underworld. Those same ideas would later appear in other religions around the world, reshaped but never forgotten. Revelation warned that this spiritual Babylon would also fall suddenly, in 1 hour, just like the empire before it. The message was clear. Babylon's spirit never truly disappeared. It simply changed form, reappearing wherever pride replaces faith and where man's power is worshipped above God's truth. But the story doesn't end in destruction, it ends in hope. The prophet Daniel saw a vision of a giant statue made of gold, silver, bronze, iron, and clay, each metal representing a world empire, from Babylon all the way to the divided nations of today. Then he saw a stone, cut not by human hands, strike the statue's feet and shatter the entire image. That stone, Daniel said, symbolized God's kingdom, an everlasting rule that no human empire could ever overthrow. Every kingdom built by man eventually falls. From Babylon to Rome to the superpowers of today, all have risen and all will one day fade. But God's kingdom, unlike any before it, will never crumble. And maybe that's why Babylon still matters. Its ruins are more than broken stones. They're a warning to every generation that no matter how high we build, no matter how strong we become, pride always leads to collapse. But faith endures forever.